mga araw pinapasa mahirap. I'm hearing all the alarms ring early. They go off every time that we're face to face. Why is it so hard to resist? Temptation sweet as honey, I know it's too late. I feel it deep inside, I'm gonna lose the fight. Eventually I know that I'll be crossing the line. I try warning myself, cause I'm in need of help. Can't hold me back already, standing right at the edge, out of control. Oh, I've been caught under the spotlight. I wanna cave into the dark side, calling to me. The ending's obvious, I know it's not right. I can't stand me, can't stand me. You pull me over to the red light. I can't escape it, you're my witness and you're my vice. In the shadows, you're the only highlight. I can't stand me, can't stand me. Can't stop me. You must be fools. Pretend that there's no rules. I'm turning all the lights off tonight. And spiraling into the abyss, losing myself. Yeah. There is no turning back. Addicted to the feeling like I'm caught in a trance. It's like you flip the switch, you power over me. Just leave me listen now, all I can do is give in, out of control. I've been caught under the spotlight. I wanna give it to the dark side, calling to me. The end is obvious, I know it's not right. I can't stand me, can't stand me. You pull me over to the red light. I can't escape it, you're my witness and you're my voice. In the shadows, you're the only highlight. I can't stand me, can't stand me. Risky, why you ask me? This is an emergency. Happy, somebody stop me, cause I know I can't stand me. Getting closer and closer, when I know I'm in danger. You get away from me, you're like the devil on my shoulder. What's going on inside? It's a war I'm trying to fight. See, open my eyes. I can't stop me, can't stop me, can't stop me. Oh, I've been caught under the spotlight. I wanna cave into the dark side, calling to me. The ending's obvious, I know it's not right. I can't stop me, can't stop me. You pull me over to the red light. I can't escape it, you're my witness and you're my vice. In the shadows, you're the only highlight. I can't stop me, can't stop me. I can't stop me, can't stop me.
Corporate Audit and Compliance Junior Assistant Manager in Federal Land Team, and he is from University of Santo Tomas. Okay, so let us welcome Brian Joseph Alfonso. Bri, Bri.
Hello? Okay naman ba yung
Hi.
audio?
Yes.
Hi. Hello, good afternoon everyone. So thank you for the invitation. So ano ba? Ako na yung
Yes.
Pwede na ako mag-share screen. Sige.
Yes.
Share ko na lang.
Okay.
Visible na ba siya?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, a reminder lang, kindly mute na lang yung microphones, and if may questions tayo, I think I will allot na lang around after the discussion for this part. Tsaka na lang natin i-open yung floor para tuloy-tuloy yung discussion, and at the same time tuloy-tuloy na lang din yung pag-address ng questions. Okay? Okay, so
Okay.
first of all, for this part, for the first R, auditing and assurance, specialized industries in business process outsourcing. So, the two parts tong discussion na to. So, first part is yung discussion lang on what is a BPO. And then, on the second part, dito na yung actual na business. Parang audit plan as to how we audit BPOs. Okay? Okay. Next. Wait. Okay. So, background and history. So, what is a business process outsourcing company muna? So, meron kasing stigma na parang kapag business process outsourcing, parang it is viewed as parang call center lang or call center agents lang. But technically, business process outsourcing is a type of outsourcing wherein a company is contracted to carry out one or more business functions. This is usually either for back office support or front office support. So what does this mean? So basically, any type of business function, pwede naman siyang ma-outsource technically. So for example, may iba na ina-outsource nila yung HR nila for hiring purposes or minsan yung payroll nila mismo. And then there is also yung outsourcing ng accounting, taxation, and that's on the back office side. And then on the front office side naman, meron silang outsourcing for yun yung usual na parang call center na parang client support or telemedicine. Yun, naka-outsource din yun. Okay? So as of 2019, the BPO industry employs 1.3 million individuals and contributed $26 billion to our nation's economy. So medyo malaki yung impact ng BPO industry dito sa bansa natin. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, nasabi last year na BPO ang isa sa mga parang pillars natin during the pandemic. So the country has the largest concentration of BPO workers over the world. Yes, medyo malaki yung concentration natin ng BPO workers. In terms of servicing and parang BPO engagements around first tayo dito, if I'm not mistaken. Wait. Up ko lang yung notes ko. Yep. First tayo dito and first yung BPO dito first ang Philippines sa BPO, okay? So examples ng BPO companies. So ito yung mga examples. Ito yung mga main players kumbaga sa Philippines, si Accenture, Concentrix, Teleperformance, VXI, Emapta, Sykes, Citel, and Tascos. Yan. So yung isa dyan yung naging client ko na i-discuss natin. Pero hindi ko na-discuss kung sino siya. Okay. So brief background lang din ng history in the Philippines. So common misconception kasi na 2000s lang siya na-establish. But technically, it's 1992. Nagkaroon ng Accenture Global Resource Center dito sa Manila. So ROHQ siya, Regional Operating Headquarters na inopen dito sa Manila. And then 1995, si President Fidel V. Ramos, sinign intulo niya yung CEZA, yung Special Economic Zone Act or Republic Act 7916. So dito, ito yung establishment ng mga PEZA, which is usually naman yung mga locations kung saan naka-establish yung mga BPO companies na nag-i-invest dito sa Philippines. Okay, so 1997, Sykes operates in the country. So nag-open si Sykes noong 1997. Tapos 2000, dito ni-launch yung Make It Philippines. Pero it dito is capital IT, which is information technology. So spearheaded project to ni Mar Rojas yun. And parang ito yung parang nag-spearhead din sa parang from starting here, dito nag-boom yung yung BPO industry sa Pilipinas. So 2001, yung establishment ng Contact Center Association of the Philippines. So basically, nagkaroon ng asosasyon yung mga BPO entities dito sa Pilipinas. Okay. Tapos 2010, na-surpass natin si India as the world leader in the BPO industry. Tapos yan nga, 2018, around 16 to 18% of outsourced services around the globe is sa Philippines ginagawa. So 16 to 18% ng outsourcing industry ng buong mundo nasa atin. Okay? Okay. So ngayon, audit considerations for a business process outsourcing company. So dito didiscuss natin yung kung paano mag-plan ng audit for for a BPO company. So audit considerations basic. So una muna, syempre kailangan nating assess yung risk. So if I'm not mistaken, nagkaroon na kayo ng auditing theory, pero as parang review lang for this discussion, discuss lang natin saglit. So inherent risk is yung risk na present doon sa doon sa process or doon sa accounts nung company. And then there's control risk na ito naman yung risk na hindi madedetect ng proper controls yung mga errors na nangyayari. And then residual risk is yung difference between the inherent risk and the control risk. So, okay. So next is assertions. Same din, discuss lang natin saglit. So there are 6 audit assertions. Completeness, existence, accuracy, valuation, obligation, and then presentation and disclosure. Yes. So for completeness, itong assertion na to, tinitingnan natin if complete ba or lahat ng kailangan ma-record is na-record within the accounting period. And then for existence, nag-exist ba yung transaction na yon or the specific asset or liability ay nag-exist ba nung upon recording? Accuracy is tama ba yung pagkaka-record? Lalo na kapag calculation-based siya. Valuation naman, dito naman mag-fall into part if tama ba yung value nung recognize natin na asset. So, at fair value pa ba siya? Hindi pa ba siya impaired? Tama pa ba yung nakapresent natin sa financial statements natin? Obligation naman, usually, nasa yun na yung rights and rewards of the asset. And then for presentation and disclosure, if tama yung presentations natin for the specific accounts. Okay. So materiality, so additional concept is materiality. So sa KPMG, nung time ko with KPMG, maraming ways kasi to calculate materiality. So kumbaga materiality kasi dito naka-base yung audit natin kung anong accounts yung magfo-fall into ang titignan natin. So for example, for materiality pwede siyang asset-based ang calculation niya, and then meron ding possible na profit-based or expense-based. So for BPO companies, split usually expense-based yung nakikita kong materiality sa kanya or yung net income base niya. So bakit yung dalawang yun yung usual? So ang logic kasi doon is yung isa income-based. Ito yung kasi profit generating. Kumbaga profit generating kasi ang BPOs. Yung isa naman expense-based kasi ang pwedeng driver niya kasi ng BPO is yung expense niya because yung billing niya sa mga clients niya is expense plus a certain percentage of that expense. So kumbaga cost plus ang ano natin, ang billing or revenue recognition ng mga BPOs. So yun. Next. Okay. So audit considerations naman specific to the industry. Okay. So first is service-oriented company siya. So as a service-oriented company, reliant ka sa manpower mo. So most ng mga BPO companies naman is service yung binebenta nila. So yung capital nila is human capital and yung talent pool nila. Ayun. So manpower, as I said, service-oriented siya. So manpower and asset-heavy operation siya. Manpower, yun nga, as discussed kanina. And then asset-heavy operation siya kasi each person, usually kailangan nila ng laptops para makapag-function sila. And at the same time, may mga machineries din sila na ini-invest and intangible assets para makapag-work anywhere yung mga yung mga employees nila. Contract-based operations. So as a servicing company, yung revenue niya is usually based on a contract. So contracted siya with third parties and even minsan related parties para doon sa servicing nila. Litigation, for litigation naman, possible siya kasi as a service-oriented company and manpower heavy ka, prone ka sa mga litigations from employees, like specifically dun sa mga DOLE cases. Yan. And then taxation, usually din kasi ng mga BPOs is under sila ng mga PEZA. So kailangan malaman kailangan i-check yung tax computation nila if within the standards and within the PEZA Act naman. And then information technology and data. So ito naman, yung consideration na to is for operations audit in case lang na malinya kayo sa operations audit. So for information technology and data naman, tinitignan dito if the information technology controls are working effectively. So kumbaga ipasok ko ba tong account na transaction na to, paano siya lalabas sa system? And at the same time, yung data security nung database or data bank noong company. And last is quality assurance. So same din na for quality assurance, same din na for operations audit to. So usually kasi tinitignan ng mga internal auditors if up to par pa din ba yung services rendered nila and at the same time if profitable pa ba yung services rendered nila. Okay. So dito naman, ito muna yung overview kung ano yung commonly identified accounts for testing na tinetest namin kapag nag-audit ng mga BPOs. Okay. So significant accounts, first syempre cash, property and equipment, office equipment, contingencies and provisions, service income, salaries and statutory requirements. So dito mapasok yung salaries and yung mga SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, yan. Income tax and other taxes. So if tama yung income tax and if may other taxes na nakapatong dun sa company. Related party transactions, if any, usually kasi ng mga BPOs, either Philippine branch sila or subsidiary sila ng isang parent company. So, isa sa required disclosure kasi sa financial statements, so mga related party transactions. Discuss na lang din natin siya later. And then for the material non-significant accounts, leases, property and equipment improvements. Nakadugtong kasi to sa leases. So, yun. And then other considerations, budget accounting and IT controls. Okay. So first, transfer pricing pa rin pala. Okay. So first, sa cash. So ang testing sa cash, ang testing objective natin, kailangan nating makita yung yung completeness, existence, and accuracy nung cash ng company. So by completeness, kung tama ba yung cash balance na complete ba yung cash balance na naka-reflect sa FS natin? So by complete, kasi may mga cash and cash equivalents tayo eh. Tapos not necessary, dito papasok naman yung accuracy na not just because may cash in bank ka, cash na siya. Meron kasing certain portions na restricted pala yung cash na yun for a certain bond agreement or something, mga ganun. And then there's existence. Existing ba tong bank account na to and bank balances na to as of the audit reporting date? So, testing procedures. Usually, ang testing namin dito is, unang-una, walang kamatayang bank confirmation. So, dito sa bank confirmation, gagawa kayo ng letters and then isa-send out nyo sila sa mga banks to confirm if ito po ba yung cash balance dun sa bank account sila. For bank confirmation, usually ang sinesend out dito, letter siya pero hindi nakalagay kung magkano yung kino-confirm natin. Kumbaga mas maganda kasi na itanong sa kanila kung magkano po yung nandoon sa bank account as of this date. Whereas compared, parang bihira ako nakita ng bank confirmation letter na naka-specify na yung how much yung laman niya. Tapos, as an alternative procedure for the bank confirmation, kasi usually matagal mag-reply yung mga banks sa Pilipinas, tinetest namin yung bank reconciliation. So, para lang siyang yung seat work nyo na parang bank recon na from na double balance, na meron kang cash balance sa books, meron kang cash balance sa banks. Dapat mapagbangga nyo siya as to deposits in transits, outstanding checks, mga book or other book adjustments naman na kailangan i-adjust, yon. Next then, if may petty cash, kasi syempre ang petty cash ready available, so medyo prone lang siya to may parang tendency lang kasi na baka mabulsa siya. So, meron ding revolving fund reconciliation. So, dito naman, usually kina-cash count siya. Tapos, ina-account yung lahat ng movements ng revolving fund. And dapat lahat ng vouchers na nandun or yung vouchers na ni-release para dun sa revolving fund is accounted doon sa parang revolving fund box. So yun, as identified kanina, identification of cash equivalents. So kasi may possibility na may mga certain accounts na hindi pala siya, na kasama pala dapat siya sa cash for representation purposes. Yun. Okay. So next naman is property and equipment. So for property and equipment, ang testing naman namin, ang testing objective dito is completeness. Kumpleto pa ba yung mga PPE nyo? Existence, nag-exist pa ba si PPE? Hindi pa ba siya nauuwi sa mga bahay ng mga employees nyo? And accuracy, if tama ba yung records nyo regarding sa PPE? Kasi baka possible na nasa records pa siya, pero apparently disposed na pala siya or what? Okay. So testing procedures. So fixed asset count, although for fixed asset count kasi usually nakarely kami dito sa internal audit. Madalas kasi ang mga BPO companies na internal audit. Tapos meron na silang mga routine audit procedures. So for fixed asset count kasi syempre strenuous yung if usually naman na nagka-count din sila parang periodically. From my experience, yung client namin once a year nag-fixed asset count sila. So yung reliance na lang kami doon And if ever may movements, itatest namin yung movements doon. So, lapsing roll forward. Ito naman, tinetest yung PPE lapsing. So, meron kasing schedule usually sa accounting na nakalist doon na per PPE item basis and then kinakalculate yung depreciation nung asset na yun. So, chine-check lang if magbabangga yung cost, tapos yung addition this year, yung disposal mo this year, and yung mga kaakibat na ng mga accumulated depreciation and depreciation expense if nagta-tie up naman sila. Okay. So test of movements, additions, reclassifications, and disposals. So usually for this one, nagsasampling kami from the purchases, yung mga binentang or dinispose na PPE or yung mga nireclass na PPE. Magsasampling kami based on the mga materiality metrics namin. And then from there, i-vouch na yung mga na-sample, hihingin namin yung mga supporting documents niyan, invoices, delivery receipt, and i-check if proper naman yung transaction. Proper yung recording, tama ba yung recording tama ba na yung input VAT niya is na-record ng tama, hindi na sama sa cost ng asset. Ganun. And then analytics, usually this one, for the depreciation expense. For the depreciation expense, i-recalculate nyo siya kumbaga, yung depreciation based on mga from previous year and ipaproject nyo siya using the additions and the disposals. Usually through through mga Excel formulas lang ang gagamitin nyo dito naman. Okay, contingencies and provisions. So, ang assertions naman dito is completeness, existence, and obligation, and valuation. So for completeness, lahat ba ng contingencies and provisions nakita ba natin? Existence meron ba? And as to obligation naman, parang tinitignan if ano yung basis para sabihin nila na meron. And then for the valuation, para malaman natin kung how much yung projected impact niya sa financials natin. And if kailangan bang mag-record ng provision na liability for this. Provision na liability. So, testing procedure, usually isa lang to, legal confirmation. So, yung law office or legal department, nagsaset ka, if legal department, usually nagsaset lang kami ng interview and pinapa-certify lang namin na complete yung na-vouch namin na, yung pinrovide sa amin na parang running list ng mga ng mga ongoing litigations sa mga employees. Okay. Tapos, based on the reply, nakalagay din kasi doon kung oo, ito yung mga ongoing kaso nung client nyo and client natin, and at the same time, ito yung expected amount na babayaran for each lawsuit. Nakalagay naman siya. Tapos, isa rin naman sa ginagawa is if habang hinihintay si legal confirmation and wala pa siya, is yung binavouch namin yung mga yung mga parang minutes ng yung mga minutes for the legal proceedings ng mga na on file dun sa legal nung BPO company. So service income, ang testing objective naman dito is completeness, existence, accuracy, and accuracy. So as to completeness, tinitignan lang if kumpleto ba yung service income na na-record natin within 2020. Hindi ba lumaktaw? Baka mamaya kasi may lumaktaw, 2020 siya, 2021 na record. Existence naman, tinitignan dito yung contracts if para makita yung basis for the recording of the revenue. And then accuracy, nakabase din tayo sa contract dito para malaman natin kung tama ba yung nire-record na revenues nila. As usually, ang mga service income ng mga BPOs ay naka-cost plus. So vouching, yun nga, testing procedure, vouching of service contracts. So una, vina-vouch namin yung mga existing service contracts for the year. Usually naman sa mga BPO, kasi sinasample namin to based dun sa parang revenue schedule nung kung gaano kalaki yung impact niya sa total revenue nung BPO. And then analytics. So balikan ko lang yung service contract. Kaya siya vina-vouch kasi vina-vouch or chine-check para makita natin kung una, gaano ba katagal tong servicing agreement natin. Kasi baka mamaya sumobra na siya within the period. Pangalawa, if na-renew ba siya on time? Kasi if nag-lapse siya, for example, 2 months na lapse na hindi pala continuing yung service contract, baka na-record naman siya ng tuloy-tuloy pala. Hindi rin nila napansin. And then, aside doon, yun nga, yung basis, if cost plus ba siya or regardless, parang bibigyan or fixed amount siya na regardless of the cost of the project, we will give you certain amount. Yun. So analytics naman, i-roll natin yung data na nakuha natin sa pag-vouch para makita natin kung kumbaga in audit's perspective, okay naman, parang sufficiently backed naman yung revenue recording nung company. So for analytics, usually nire-recalculate natin from based na sa service contract. So yung service revenue, multiply mo ng amount na ilang months siya active for the year. Pwede rin na yung cost plus method, titignan doon kung ano yung mga specifically identifiable cost for the project, and kapag minultiply mo ba siya nung markup rate nyo, almost close ba siya dun sa parang actual na Kasi since analytics to, may possibility na may parang magsaset kayo ng parang threshold na difference na parang within that difference, okay lang ba na acceptable tong difference na to dun sa nirecalculate natin versus na sa actual na recorded ng company. And then client confirmation. For accounts receivable naman to, magko-confirm lang kayo dun sa client if magkano yung outstanding nila na kailangan bayaran dun sa natin, sa audit client natin. And nakalagay din as an alternative procedure naman dito, tinetest natin yung test ng subsequent collection. So usually kasi audit naman happens a certain period after the closing period. So makikita naman dun sa during the course of the audit kung nabayaran na itong accounts receivable na to. Salaries and statutory requirements. So completeness, existence, accuracy. So if complete ba yung salaries na na-record and statutory recs, existent ba? So wala namang ghost employees na nakita. And then accuracy, kung tama naman yung pagkaka-record ng mga salaries doon sa So disclaimer lang, usually kasi for salaries and statutory requirements, dalawa yung nagtatest nito. For rank and file, it's either bigay yun sa parang audit senior and sa associate, so yung mga audit staff. Pero kasi kapag mga senior management level na ng mga companies, usually ang nagtetest na nun is mga managers or even partners minsan ang nire-request ng company na mag-test. So ang testing procedure dyan is vouching ng 201 file. So yun nga, isang disclaimer lang din, ang 201 file kasi nandito yung parang master data ng mga employees. So dito mo makikita kung ilan yung employees per month. Pero minsan kasi hindi to pinoprovide due to confidentiality purposes. So ang next na ginagawa namin is parang analytics na lang. So dito, hinihingi na lang namin yung rough numbers kung ilan yung employees for the month, for the whole period. Tapos chine-check namin yung hinihingi din namin yung parang average salary at least man lang for a certain level. Tapos ipa-project namin siya throughout the year. Tapos titingnan namin if sufficient ba yung naka-record na salaries expense and yung mga statutory requirements natin. Actuarial review of retirement benefit plan. Usually ito third party ang ginagawa dito. Nag-hire ng third party para i-check yung yung value ng retirement benefit ng mga employees, yung retirement benefit plan ng company din. Kasi magkakaroon to ng impact sa tax computation. Okay, so income tax and other taxes. So testing objective is accuracy, if tama ba yung pagkaka-calculate ng tax, and valuation. Okay. Valuation is for yung mga deferred tax assets and liabilities. So if babalikan natin yung financial, I'm not sure if financial accounting 1 pa yung tawag kasi nung panahon ko yun yung tawag. Yung tax natin, yung tax kasi 'di ba meron temporary difference, yung mga temporary differences. So doon kasi papasok, and if kumbaga magagamit pa ba yun? Rightfully pa ba na naka-record yun sa libro natin? Nila rather. So testing procedures, calculation of income tax and DTA and DTL, yun nga as I mentioned. And also kailangan din kasi malaman if yung within PEZA siya, kailangan tama din yung calculation niya na certain percentage lang siya ng gross income. Tapos, kailangan din makita na at least a certain percentage of the operations of the company is yung mga registered business ng company. So, para ma-retain yung PEZA status niya. Kasi kapag sumobra yun, hindi na mag-a-apply yung PEZA status niya. Tapos, magre-revert ka sa regular corporate income tax, which is now yung nabago due to create law. So, related party transactions. For related party transactions, usually, ito naman, presentation and disclosure and completeness, existence. So, presentation and disclosure. Required presentation kasi sa financial statements, yung ginawa mong transaction with your parents and affiliates or subsidiaries. So, lahat yan, sales, kung magkano yung benta nyo, magkano yung binili nyo sa isa't isa, due to and due from, be it trade or non-trade, naka-record yan doon. Completeness, complete ba yung pinresent nila na disclosure dito, and existence if it exists naman. So usually RPT confirmation to. So similar to bank confirmation and AR confirmation. Magsesend ka sa related parties mo, mga significant related parties mo ng parang tinatanong nyo kung how much yung due to and due from ng mga related parties na yon sa ino-audit nyo na company. And then vouching of movements for the year. So tinetest dito yung basis kung bakit nagkaroon ng additions or ng payments doon. So kung additions ba yan, ano yung support niya? Loan ba yan? Sale ba yan? Check nyo kumbaga yung sufficiency nung transaction para kumbaga hindi fudged yung libro nung company. Okay, leases. Ato naman, usually naman si leases, although isa sa mga huge expenses to or majority ng expenses ng isang BPO company, usually lang siya, material non-significant account lang siya. So kumbaga, material lang siya in the sense na na-meet niya yung materiality nyo ng team. Pero hindi naman ganong kalaki yung risk niya na yung account na yun. So presentation and disclosure. So required kasi na yung although nung time ko yun, I'm not sure kasi currently may mga bagong presentation and disclosures needed na for leases. Pero nung naabutan ko kasi nung nasa external audit ako, kailangan i-present doon yung rent na babayaran na within the next year, tas within the next within the succeeding periods pa. Parang i-recognize mo pa yung short-term na magiging obligation mo and the long-term obligation mo. Tapos dito rin papasok yung accuracy naman. Dito papasok yung straight line lease calculation. So kung may escalation ba siya, properly accounted ba siya sa libro natin na naka-straight line siya. So kumbaga nagre-record ka ng lease payable or advanced lease kapag nagbabayad ka. And then existence, if back naman siya, although usually naman back to ng kontrata. And completeness, if lahat ba ng operating sites nung BPO is nasama siya sa recording nung lease expense for the year. So vouching of lease contracts, yun nga, i-check niyo yung lease contracts. Yung, usually meron kami sa KPMG na parang database siya nakasama sa turnover sa next audit na nandoon yung mga active leases, tas kailan siya mag-expire, security deposit niya magkano ba, advance rent niya magkano ba. Kasi needed yung i-adjust once na mag-renew ng contract usually. And minsan hindi nare-record properly yung advances na binibigay. Minsan na-outright expense siya. Nagkakaroon din minsan doon sa yung security deposit, hindi rin siya na-record correctly as security deposit. So analytics, so based na sa mga na-vouch na lease contracts and yung historical data, ipo-project nyo ngayon yung lease expense throughout for this period. Magkano ba dapat siya? Kumbaga parang ang tingin ni audit, ganito yung parang how much yung expected natin. So, and then at may certain percentage ka rin ng deviation na above or below that, acceptable naman yung deviation na yun. So yun nga, kanina mention ko, yung security deposits, advance rent, and as yung asset recognition due to long-term lease. So, security deposit, advance rent, given yan na kapag nagkaroon ng escalation, may naka-stipulate sa contract na kailangan yung magbabayad kayo ng advance rent na 3 months from say 2 or 3 months na ma-apply sa end ng contract. And then yung security deposit, usually sinasabi rin sa contract na may pera ka dapat na ide-deposito sa kanila na around 2 or 3 months din ng equivalent ng renta nyo. And then yung asset recognition due to long-term leases, ito na yung sa new standards na nagkakaroon ng asset recognition dahil din na intangible asset recognition para doon sa use ng lease na yun. Parang present value siya, if tama yung alala ko. And then testing, so other considerations, usually for for internal audit consideration na to. So yun nga, budget accounting. So yung mga projects ba natin within budget siya, profitable pa ba siya? Baka may kailangang i-improve doon sa process kasi para mapababa yung expenses niya and ma-maintain yung profitability ng project. Usually for fixed project, yung fixed billing na projects. Kasi for cost plus naman walang problem to kasi you're basing it on cost and then may plus amount lang tayo na pinapatong na 10 to 20% usually. IT controls, yun nga, minsan nag-i-involve kami ng IT auditors na para i-check if yung data ba pag pinasok and pinrocess siya ng system, tama naman yung lalabas na information or yung pagkakabook niya, hindi ba siya ma-edit or baka may app doon na may widget doon na nakapasok na nagsaslash pala siya ng certain centavos na saan pupunta siya sa ibang account, yung mga ganun. Transfer pricing, dito naman makikita yung para to sa related parties, usually tax naman ang ini-involve namin dito para ma-assess nila if at arm's length pa ba or at industry standard pa ba yung revenue na binibill nila. Kasi may possibility kasi na they are charging at a lower rate kasi upon consolidation, mawawala naman yung intercompany revenue and expenses mo eh. At the end of the day, yung revenue mo from external sources yung magmamatter. Parang ganun. Okay, so yan lang yung discussion for BPOs. Any questions? Kung may questions, the floor is now open. Yung wala ba? Lyra, hello.
Hello, I think walang question from the participants.
Okay, sige. Ano lang, siguro 5-minute break lang muna. Water break lang. Okay, sige. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello? Okay. May clarification lang si Lyra. May message siya sa akin. So, um, ano yun? Wait lang ah. Ano daw yung effect ng IFRS 15 sa BPOs and if may specific standards daw ba for BPOs? So, as to specific standards, wala naman tayong specific standards for BPOs. Pero yun nga, IFRS 15, somehow may kaka-effect siya on although for me parang minimal yung effect kasi yung revenue on contract mo kasi is nakabase ka na kasi sa parang although contract siya, monthly billing kasi yung ginagawa nyo. So recorded overtime na siya. So parang naka-divide na siya. Yun nga lang yung recording lang ng allowance for the doubtful accounts upon the recognition of the revenue, yung upon recognition ng receivable, baka doon lang magkaroon ng effect ang assessment ko. Yun. Tapos, i-load, alis na ako saglit ulit para ma-load naman yung next slide sa, hold on. Okay, so welcome back. Let's resume. So, next topic naman natin is yung mining. So, similar lang din. Dalawa yung parts din nito. Parang short discussion lang on what is mining and sino yung mga main players sa Pilipinas. And then, audit considerations for auditing a mining company. Okay? So, background and history ng mining. So, what is mining? So, mining is the extraction of valuable minerals or other geological materials from the earth, usually from an ore, geode, lode, vein, steam reef, or placer deposit. So, basically, yung pagbubungkal lang nung pagbubungkal nung surface ng earth para makapag-extract ng natural resources for further refining or minsan binebenta siya as is for refinement naman ng refineries. So hindi tayo limited sa for mining, usually ito yung mga precious stones tapos yung mga metals. Pwede rin yung mga normal na mga parang bato lang for yung mga quarrying yun, for construction purposes, and then yung mga semento, Tapos, almost same din ang treatment ang mining sa extraction ng fuel resource. Okay? So the mining industry is regulated by the Mines and Geosciences Bureau, so MGB ang tawag namin, which is under the Department of Science and Technology. So sila yung nagre-regulate nito, yung ng mga mining companies sa Pilipinas. Usually nagsasend sila ng mga environmental compliance, in best practice ba yung mga mining practices ng mga kumpanya natin. Tapos, at the same time, nagpapadala rin sila minsan ng auditors na mag-site visit and then to check yung sufficient, yung if accurate and may basis ba yung mga reports na sinasubmit ng mga mining companies. Okay? So, based on the 2018 Philippine Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative report, yung mining industry, 8.89% lang siya ng GDP natin. Pero, nag-account siya sa almost 6% ng total exports natin. Usually kasi ng mga mining companies na alam ko within the Philippines, pagka-extract kasi nila, binebenta na nila usually nabebenta siya as mineral ores palabas ng bansa. Tapos usually mainland China yung bumibili, tapos sila nagre-refine noong mga yan. May iba rin, alam ko Australia yung bumibili. Okay. So example lang ng mining companies, Century Peak, Lepanto, Nickel Asia, Philex Mining, and Semirara Corporation. So usually, itong 5 to listed companies to. So publicly traded sila in the Philippine Stock Exchange, yung mga mining companies na to. Okay. So, auditing a mining company. So, ano ba yung mga audit considerations na kailangan natin i-consider? So, as usual, yung basics, yung inherent and control risk, and yung kanina rin, yung residual risk. Tapos, wait lang. Inherent risk and control risk, and yung residual risk ng company. Tapos yung assertions natin, which is same lang din kanina, completeness, existence, accuracy, valuation, obligation, and presentation and disclosure. Tapos, materiality. So, materiality, ang materiality ng audit ng tawag dito, ng isang mining company, it varies pero usually, naka-asset based kami. For materiality purposes, ang kino-consider usually dito is as asset kasi mining is considered as a seasonal kumbaga seasonal siya lalo na sa Pilipinas na may certain months na mamamatay yung mining industry kasi binabagyo yung Visayas and Mindanao. So, may mga times na masyadong fluctuating yung income and in effect, yung net income ng company. So, para for stability, ginagamit is yung total assets ng company kasi sobrang asset heavy ng isang mining company. Meron kang mining equipment, meron kang mine site development, tapos yung intangible assets mo for the exploration rights. Mamaya discuss natin yun. Okay. So, industry specific na considerations. So yun nga, as mentioned kanina, asset heavy siya. So, dalawa yung office mo. Meron kang isang operations na headquarters and then yung pinaka main assets mo na nandun sa extraction site. So yung actual na place kung saan ginagawa yung operations. Syempre, para magamit nyo yun for operations, dine-develop nyo yun eh. Yun. So, at the same time, nandito yung mga heavy equipment, yung mga panghukay, yung mga truck na gagamitin pang transport ng mga nahukay. dun para dun sa holding area, yung mga crane na ginagamit pang load dun sa exit ng mga from loading area. Yan. Assumptions and estimates. So, as an asset-heavy company, yung dito, dalawa yung main assumptions and estimates na i-check nyo. Una is yung impairment ng parang, kumbaga, kasi yung assets mo dito, heavy wear and tear. So, tama ba yung assumption na kasi ang normal truck, kapag sa city gagamitin, ganito yung useful life niya. On a rough road, tapos sobrang liblib na lugar yon na parang rough road talaga yung mga dinadaanan. Is it sufficient na same yung treatment mo ng asset na nasa city or versus asset na nandun sa site? So, isa yon. Pangalawa, yung estimates mo dun sa extractable ores nyo. So, naka-base ka kasi dun sa dun yung parang kumbaga yung dugo ng company is yung mineral resource na hinuhukay niya. So, gaano karami ba yung estimate nun? And kasi and sufficient ba or tama ba yung estimate nila? Kasi naka-depended sa estimate na yun yung depreciation naman and other assets may magde-dependent doon. Mamaya di-discuss ka din. Contractual obligation. So usually din, itong mga mining companies, contract basis din sila. So So yung contract basis naman na to, hindi siya kagaya kanina sa BPO na parang for a duration. Contract of sale ang ginagawa usually per transaction naman. So doon naman naka-detail ko ano yung mga contractual obligations ng each parties para doon sa transaction na yun, sa sale transaction. Taxation, kailangan i-check if naka-income tax holiday ba yung company or may mga other certification siya na mag-qualify for special taxes. And then meron pa yung tawag dito. Meron ding excise tax ang mining. So certain percentage siya nung sale nung extraction. Tapos regulated. So heavily regulated itong mining industry ng MGB. So madami kang kailangan compliances na ipasa kasi once na parang magkaroon ng anomaly dun sa compliances nyo, prone ka na ma-revoke yung license mo to mine. So magkaka-effect yun sa tawag dito, sa income generation nyo kasi off yung operations nyo. Okay. Commonly identified accounts for testing. So, based dun sa kanina, ito yung mga usual na tinetest namin sa isang mining company. Cash, yung inventory, mine site development and exploration rights, property and equipment na mining related, restoration bonds, revenue from contracts, income tax and other taxes, tapos related party transactions, if any. So for cash, same siya na completeness, existence, accuracy. So bank confirmation, same din dun sa kanina ng BPO na i-confirm siya kung how much dun sa bank kung how much ba talaga yung kung how much yung nakalagay na pera dun sa bank as of audit closing period natin. And then bank reconciliation, itetest nyo rin yung bank reconciliation nila. Petty cash and revolving fund reconciliation. Same din siya kanina sa discussion sa BPO. So yung petty cash ba usually lalo na dun for the tawag dito, for the site office, yung revolving fund, may certain fund lang kasi sila na parang nire-reimburse periodically doon sa head office. So, chine-check din namin yan. Although, since nasa site sila, ang pinapagawa namin, either, nangyayari to kapag nagkaroon ng site visit for inventory count. Tapos, i-roll forward na lang namin yung details. Identification of cash equivalent. So, ito, major to sa mining kasi maraming bonds na kailangan i-maintain yung isang mining company. So, not necessarily cash siya, part na siya ng cash mo. Rephrase ko. Not necessarily cash in bank siya, is part na siya ng current asset mo na cash. So, may iba dyan, sobrang restricted yung account na hindi mo pwedeng galawin, pero bank account siya. So, naka-classify, so dapat tama yung classification nun as a non-current asset. Okay. Okay, inventories. So, testing objective natin for inventories is completeness, existence, and accuracy. So, completeness, kumpleto ba yung inventory na na-record as of the audit period? Existence, may inventory ba talaga? And nandun ba talaga siya? And accuracy is, itong nakalistang value ng inventory or kung ano yung listing ng inventory, ito rin ba siya kapag tinignan dun sa site? So possible ang question dyan is, paano i-ascertain yung inventory ng isang minahan? So, ito kasi usually nakabulto-bulto yung mga extracted resources. So, ang ginagawa namin, nag-hire kami ng actuaries para ma-check yung ma-check nila yung discuss ko later. Meron pa pala na isang assertion, valuation. So, yung na-record ko ba na inventories ngayon, mabibenta ko ba, pa ba siya? More than pa siya ng fair market value niya, less selling price. Yan. Okay. So, testing procedures is inventory count. Yun nga, yung surveyor/actuaries. So, basically, mag-hire kami ng third party pa uli. Si audit, external audit, mag-hire ng third party para siya yung mag-assess ng inventory nung audit client natin na tama ba siya? Tama ba yung quantity nung quantity in metric tons ng mga inventory. So siya yung mag-a-assess nun. May certain calculation silang ginagawa para tapos isasubmit nila yung report kay external audit. Isa pa na pwede niyong i-confirm sa kanila is yung may possibility din na ma-ask sa kanila yung value noong pina-acquire nyo. Usually kasi may access din sila sa ganun data as to how much yung valuation nun. Pero pwede nyo rin siyang ma-check. Although mahirap lang kasi ang basis kasi namin is LME, London Metal Exchange. I-check namin doon, para siyang stock exchange ng Pilipinas. Pero instead na stocks yung gumagalaw, yung mga mineral or refined metals yung yung parang going prices niya. So yung gold, copper, bronze, silver, nakalagay doon kung magkano yung going rate niya, opening price niya for the day, closing price niya for the day. Usually refined lang to. Pero for tawag dito, for the raw mineral ores, at least magkakaroon lang kayo ng idea na syempre at a certain, since mineral ore siya, raw material siya, dapat yung parang value or selling nung binenta tong item or yung possible na mabenta siya on that day, hindi siya bababa dun sa value nung actual metal. Yun. So test of costing. So dito, tinetest namin yung costing nung audit client namin. So paano? Isa namin ginagawa is ina-extract namin yung lahat ng costs niya na tinag niya as for mining. Tapos parang ini-scan namin 'yon or mabilis ang scanning nung all expenses. Chine-check namin if tama ba yung nakakapitalize yun as an inventory cost. So may iba kasi may mga nangyayari dun sa client ko dati na yung certain expense na nagpe-pertain sa head office, na-charge siya minsan dun sa mining site. Usually mga fuel ganun. Pero halimbawa, syempre, i-check mo rin naman counter check mo. I-check din namin yung expenses for the head office kasi yung mga sobrang laking fuel charges naman na para doon sa tawag dito, mine site, baka naman na-charge din sa head office. So yun lang. Yung reason, yung lang nun, parang ini-scan namin siya, mabilisan. Tapos para makuha yung ending inventory naman, based doon sa nakuha namin cost versus doon sa na-extract for the year, i-divide namin siya. Tapos i-multiply lang namin siya doon sa total quantity na na-audit ni surveyor, kung gaano siya karami. And yung product nun, more or less, supposedly, ito yung lalabas na na inventory mo at year-end. Net of valuation, if any. Net of valuation adjustments, if any. Kasi possible na magkaroon ka ng adjustment kasi lower ng fair, parang quote-unquote impaired yung inventory mo kasi lower na yung fair value niya versus the recorded cost. Pero based on my experience, hindi pa naman nangyari yung or parang management believes na reversible yung expense, ay yung devaluation ng inventory na yan. Okay. Exploration rights. So exploration rights, tinetest dito yung completeness, existence, and accuracy, and also yung valuation. So completeness, ano ba yung exploration rights? So basically, ito yung binayaran na parang cost ito yung intangible asset ng company. Ito yung mga binayaran niyang cost para magkaroon siya ng karapatan na magmina ng mineral ores in a certain area. So completeness, complete ba yung exploration rights na recorded? Baka kasi merong newly acquired exploration rights na hindi pa nakakapitalize dito sa specific account na to. Parang nandun pa lang siya sa isa na parang iniipon pa lang yung actual expense. Na parang nasa R&D phase pa lang siya. Parang gano'n. Existence naman, nag-exist ba tong ni-record mo na exploration rights? So may actual exploration right ka ba talaga dun sa baka mamaya kasi nagre-record ka doon, wala pa naman palang exploration, nagka-capitalize ka pero wala ka pang proper exploration rights pala. And then accuracy, tama ba yung na-record niya na exploration rights? And then dito sa valuation, dito papasok yung estimate ng mamimina nyo, yung parang total na assess na mineable resource. So kailangan, baka kasi mag-adjust siya. So kailangan lang din i-check. Kasi ang exploration rights, ina-amortize to based on extractable resources. So I'm not sure if na-discuss to sa sa lower accounting levels. Pero meron kasi 'di ba parang sa asset, merong depreciation na parang unit of output. Technically parang ganun yung ginagawa dito. So for the exploration rights, yung cost ng exploration rights, i-divide mo siya dun sa parang estimated na mamimina na ores. So let's say yung estimate niya is 1 million 1 million ores yung mamimina doon. Tapos i-multiply mo siya based sa extraction rate for this year. Pero sa next year kasi, ang magiging base mo, yung carrying amount niya ng at the beginning of the year, ima-minus mo yung revised na value kasi possible na magbago yung yung evaluation eh. At the onset ang akala nila 1 million. Pero apparently nung tinignan nila 800,000 lang pala talaga yung mamamine. So may mga possible cases na ganun. So need din nilang mag-check if mahabol pa ba siya or baka need na nilang i-impair yung actual intangible. So yun, para malaman yung yung extractable ores. Ito yung una namin chine-check. Kino-confirm namin sa ay yung testing is confirmation of estimated remaining mineral ores. So tinatanong namin to sa either one sa research and development ng company or yung parang geological department nila, or two, possible din na external to pa-hire, isama sa pero mas mahal yun, yung option na 2. So usually, ang ginagawa is reliance on the interview made with the parang R&D / geophysical engineer nung company. Tapos, lapsing roll forward. So, i-check lang if yung tama ba yung calculation and yung niya, from beginning balance, yung mga changes this year, yung amortization mo, additions mo, tapos yung ending balance niya, if tied up naman siya dun sa records and if tama naman yung recording niya. Yan. And then test of movements, yun, i-vouch din namin yung addition. So ano yung basis, reclassifications or disposals? Usually ang vina-vouch dito is yung basis kung bakit nagbago yung estimate na mineral ores. So from 1 million ores to 800,000, ano yung basis bakit bigla nagbago? May updated study ba? Or syempre hindi basta-basta sabihin lang ng management, ay change lang natin to 800,000. Yun. For the additions naman, yan nga, kailangan i-check if properly may evidence naman. Yung additional kinapitalize na cost for exploration rates. And then analytics. So yun nga, if sufficient ba yung usually analytics ginagamit din namin to for the amortization. If sufficient ba yung amortization na ginamit nila for the year. More or less recalculation lang din to and recalculation tapos ipo-project namin siya based on the actual extraction. Tapos ima-minus namin dito sa Tapos babangga ba kami or by bangga I mean same ba kami ng amount ni accounting nila and yung audit amount. Okay. Next asset is yung property and equipment mining related. So for this one, completeness, existence, accuracy, valuation. So same lang din dun sa kanina sa BPO. Kompleto ba yung asset na ni-record mo? Nag-exist ba siya? Accurate ba yung record mo na kung ano yung nasa record, yun din ba yung asset na meron ka? Baka kasi wala na. Pero magkakaroon ng additional value dito, yung valuation. Kasi as heavily utilized asset, baka minsan mag-breakdown, mag-tear down sila earlier than the expected useful life nila. So yan. Testing procedures, lapsing roll forward. So yung i-roll namin by roll from beginning balances ng equipment mo, magkano yung additions mo for this year, nagbenta ka ba this year or may din-recognize ka, tapos kailangan bumangga tayo ng ending balances. Tapos test of movements, itetest namin yung additions. So yung magkano yung mga binili, sa sample din namin yan. Kasi may mga cases na may mga nakakapitalize naman na mining equipment na dito sa mining related. True story to. Nung isang client ko, nakakapitalize sa kanya PPE. Tapos yung tinignan naman yung particulars is hindi siya property, plant, and equipment, but personal protective equipment. So yung mga boots, hard hats, yun, na tawag dito, na-capitalize nila as mining asset. So syempre, pinatanggal namin yun kasi mag-form part yun ng supplies niya. So, kasama rin dito yung depression ay yung analytics. So, based dun sa nakuha nyo kanina ng extracted, yung data nyo ng extracted ores for the year, tapos uh, yung ending inventory, dito papasok yung recalculation ng amortization ng expenses mo. Kasi yung hindi lahat ng expenses mo kumbaga yung buong depreciation expense mo kasi para magpo-form part siya as cost ng mineral ore mo. Pero hindi lahat 'yon magiging cost mo for this year. Kasi may portion doon na syempre since may inventory ka na naiwan, may iwan siya sa parang magpo-form part 'yon as cost mo. So magiging inventory siya. Tapos ipo-project nyo yung extracted ores dun sa dito sa depreciation. Another consideration pala for depreciation expense, need nyong i-assess if ano ba yung sufficient na gamitin. Unit of measure ba or estimated useful life. Yung client ko kasi dalawa yung ginagamit niya. May certain assets na whichever is lower kumbaga dun sa dalawa. So yung isa estimated useful life yung gamit namin. Tapos yung isa naman based on extraction nila. So to assess that, tinatanong din namin si parang sa yung geosciences nila if gaano katagal po ba yung parang estimate na magiging na may extract yung buong minerals na nandito sa mine site na to. So possible na sabihin nila ang extraction rate niya to parang aabot ng 5 years. Pero useful life lang pala ng asset is 3 years. So whichever is lower doon, yun yung gagamitan namin for the depreciation. Okay. Restoration bond. So ang restoration bond, as a background, required to by law na parang mag-hold ng fund yung natin, yung client natin ng certain fund na gagamitin para ma-restore yung nasira niya na resources. Kasi syempre, bubungkalin niya yung lupa, mapuputol kayo ng puno. So parang restoration and rehabilitation bond to na at the end of the extraction activity, ito yung gagamitin na pondo para ma-restore yung environment na kinalaw natin. So completeness, ang testing objective niya is completeness, existence, and accuracy. So completeness, kompleto ba yung bond na naka-record? Kasi multiple bonds to usually. Per mine site may separate bonds, tas minsan may separate bond pa for sa mga puno, tas yung sa actual na rehabilitation lang ng lupa. And then for existence, existing ba yung bond? So meron ba talaga na nakadeposito? And accuracy, updated ba yung records natin sa bond na yun? So, testing procedure, confirmation with bondholder. So, usually bangko to, na yung bonds naman, nakadeposit siya doon. Tapos, i-confirm natin how much yung bond as of accounting period. Tapos, i-check natin if sufficient ba siya based dun sa schedule na ginawa ni MGB dun sa deposit schedule na ginawa ni MGB for the rehabilitation. Pero pwede ka rin mag-advance dun para para i-catch up mo na yung based on extraction mo, yung bond. Tapos yun nga, yung analytics. So i-check mo if sufficient ba yun? Kasi possible na yung ginawa ni MGB 25 years na bond. Pero apparently, 15 years lang yung extraction activity. So parang hindi naman hihintayin natin na 25 years ubusin natin bago i-restore yung environment. So on the 15th year, dapat mag-meet yun or else parang pupunan na lang nila na parang lump sum lahat ng kulang babayaran nila. Yan. Revenue contracts. So, for revenue contracts naman, as usual, contract of sale to. So, testing objective lang, completeness, existence, and accuracy. So, completeness, kompleto ba yung mga sales transactions natin na pumasok. Checking nyo yung invoice if wala namang nag-skip. Ganun. Or kung meron mang na-skip, parang properly written off ba siya or canceled. Existence, dito naman papasok yung rightfully ba na revenue siya na ni-record. Yung record na yun. Baka hindi naman pala siya revenue. And then accuracy is tama ba yung revenue recording natin. So, vouching of revenue contract. So, dito naka-base kasi, ang ginagawa namin dito, nagsasample kami ng transactions for the year. Tapos, hihingin namin yung kontrata nun. From that contract, i-check namin how much yung mineral ore. Tapos, at the same time, multiply namin siya dun sa order kung magkano siya. Magpapasok din dito sa revenue contract since kanina may RFR is 15. If yung sa allowance for doubtful accounts, so dito na rin papasok agad. So historically ba yung binentahan nyo, mababayaran ba agad kayo or at a certain level, magkano yung parang bad, parang out of the sales, meron ba kayong hindi nakakolekta? So far naman sa mga clients ko, wala namang hindi nakakolekta dun sa sales nila sa mga sa mga customers. And then analytics. So business na vouch ng mga data, ipa-project niyo yun ngayon. So tama ba na kasi minsan yung kontrata good for ilang ilang shipments eh. So multiply niyo lang based on the ship out ng mga mineral ores. Tapos check nyo if sufficient ba yung revenue or at least tama ba yung revenue and hindi ba malaki yung discrepancy niya dun sa actual recorded revenue dun sa books. Okay. And then, client confirmation. So, similar din kanina sa BPO, nagkakaroon kami ng client confirmation. So, nagsasend kami ng accounts receivable confirmation dun sa client para to ask how much po yung kailangan yung bayaran sa client namin as of the end of the audit period. Papasok din dito, kagaya din kanina, yung test of subsequent collection. So, within the audit period within the period during the audit fieldwork naman, nabayaran ba yung due amount? So, check nyo kung pumasok ba sa bank account yun. Tapos isa pa, hindi, pwede naman sa tax, although sige, discuss na rin natin dito. Yun nga, yung excise tax din. So, kailangan, kasi bago ma-ship out yan, or usually bago ma-exit yung yung mineral ores, may excise tax mo na binabayaran doon sa parang LGU or local BIR, if tama yung alala ko, na para dun sa sa mining tax dun sa transaction. Next is income tax. Ayun pala, kasunod din siya. Accuracy and valuation. So same din siya kanina, tama ba yung income tax and ni-record and na-calculate, and at the same time for the valuation naman, yung mga deferred tax assets and deferred tax liabilities, realizable pa ba sila or pwede pa silang gamitin? Yan. Calculation of income tax and DTA, DTL. Yun din, if ever may income tax holiday for the entity, syempre mag-a-apply lang yung income tax holiday doon sa registered business for the income tax holiday. Tapos, yung excise taxes ka, on a per transaction basis, kailangan sufficient ba yung excise tax na binabayaran nila? Related party transactions naman. Usually kasi mining companies are big companies. Tapos, meron kang nag-extract, meron kang company na nag-handle ng shipments mo. Tapos, kung meron ka pang refinery na yung pagde-refine naman ng mineral ores, yun, nandoon. And yung minsan meron pa dyan yung head office pa na parang parent company. Yan. So, ang testing objective naman is presentation and disclosure para lang malaman natin kung sufficient ba yung disclosure nila for all transactions with all related parties. So kailangan ma-establish yung related parties and how much yung impact nung nung transactions nila doon sa buong FS ng company. Completeness, kompleto ba yung related party transactions natin? Nag-i-exist ba yung related party transaction natin? RPT confirmation. So yun nga, kagaya din sa BPO kanina. For RPT confirmation, isa-send lang natin yung related party, yung letter natin to confirm how much or yung due nila sa atin or due natin sa kanila para lang ma-assess if bangga ba yung records ng dalawang parties. Yeah. Tas vouching of movements for the year. So bakit nga ba umangat yung related party transactions? Is it due to a sale? May pautang ba? Or kasi baka mamaya sinabi lang nila may due to or due from, apparently wala naman pala. Okay. So yan lang yung for mining. Any questions ba? Hello? Lyra? None ba?
Hi. From the participants, wala bang question?
Getting an 11% project on your 25 pesos. Nostalgic lang siya kasi para siya
Brian, about dun sa exploration rights, nire-recognize mo siya as under anong line item siya?
Asset siya. Exploration right is an intangible asset usually.
Okay.
Kumbaga yun yung right, kumbaga parang yun yung total cost na na-incur mo na parang para magkaroon ka ng claim doon sa certain lupa. Doon sa certain area para magmina ka, para mag-dig ka doon sa area na yun.
Iba pa siya dun sa yung parang ina-amortize mo siya, so iba pa siya dun sa depletion of natural resources.
Iba pa siya. Kasi intangible asset to. Kumbaga parang ito yung parang intangible asset siya na cost na na-incur mo para makapag-dig ka doon. Whereas yung mine site development and yung PPE mo, yun yung actual tangible assets mo na dinevelop mo or binili mo para makapaghukay ka.
Okay. Yun lang yung question ko. Sa participants natin, wala bang question?
Sa question, I'll be answering
siguro wala. Okay? So, next. Present ko yung certificate ni Sir Brian Alfonso.
I think medyo parang sabi ko din medyo okay nga dito 2026.
So, from Polytechnic University of the Philippines, College of Accountancy and Finance, the Certificate of Appreciation is awarded to Sir Brian Joseph Alfonso as a speaker for imparting his valuable knowledge and insights during the Specialized Industries webinar series for BPO and mining industry held today, 19th of April 2021, 2 to 5 p.m. via Zoom. So this is signed by Professor Lilian M. Letonua, CPA MBA, our chairperson, and Professor Julieta G. Fonte, our dean. So thank you, Brian.
Okay. Thank you then for inviting me. Okay. Sana may natutunan sila and hopefully I'll see them sa practice if ever.
Sana. Ayan. So, ayan.
Ayan.
Sana.
Ayan. So, ayun.
Ayan. So, photo ops tayo, Sir Jonathan.
Okay. Ayan, sa mga... Pwede na kayo mag-open ng camera sa mga participants natin. Kanya-kanyang ngiti ha. So I have 12 dito. Hindi kasi marunong mag-screenshot si Ma'am Lyra, kaya pabayaan na natin si Ma'am Lyra. Mahirap turuan
Bawa.
yung Ma'am Lyra na pag